Welcome to the TBK Nationwide Series from Charlotte, North Carolina. Our pole sitter was Leon Davis in the 15 with Otto Bergman in second. Then it was last week's winner Phil Wilkes, Joey Adgie, and Brendan Langlois rounding out the top five. Davis would get an early jump on Bergman, the rookie XF1 driver, and Brazilian Rafael Sabera was making his debut for Richard Childress Racing as a teammate to Jake Pugh. And then Wilkes would take the lead from the number 15 car on the second lap. And as you see here, Chris Pettit, well, he's not one to buck a trend, so he's still doing horribly bad. Anyways, you see the two JR Motorsports cars would start heading towards the front, along with Alexandre Quiros. He would also be up front for a good portion of the early part of the race. And then even Sabara managed to work his way up, and Hetzel. And then Mitch Kent, Hetzel, and Wetz would break away. And then our first caution, lap 31. Chris Pettit, trying to stay off his teammate, Joe Dogg, gets into Jason Katterberg. They both drift up into the wall. Both would harmlessly spin down the track, and both would continue on, albeit damaged. And then everyone would pit on this caution, with Mitch Kent leading the way, and Tommy Toe would be the benefactor on the restart, as he would take the lead over Ben Alphen, Woody Watts, and Mitch Kent. Not in that order, though. You see here, Watts makes a move on Kent, and that's Chris Wetz back there. And then Scotty Nicholson and Mike Sarley would get opportunities up front, along with George Treppy in that white 04 car, and then we had a really close call here. Covey Moore gets into Joey Adgie. Both go through the grass, rather high pace of speed. Both make it on the track safely. And then Eddie Lynch and Rafael Sabara would get chances to be back up front with Shane Gardner. And then it was Joey Adgie, as that trip through the grass did not affect him. In fact, he was the one who got to deal with the first of many annoying lapped cars, this being Chris Pettit. Second caution, lap 60. This is Leon Davis. He gets off, and Alpha has nowhere to go. And you see here that he drifts into Tortoni. He then tries taking Tortoni. He just cuts off Wetz, which is weird considering he's been pretty vocal about the poor driving standards in this series, and we're going to see that one more time from Ben Alphen's on board without the audio effect this time. You see Alphen just has nowhere to go and almost tips the 90 car over. Only Wetz would be out of this wreck, unfortunately, and I'll get to that later. And then more pit stops, as if everyone was just a few laps shy. And so Josh Chin got back out, and then on the start, Joey Adgie, he was falling back. He got stuck behind the 38. But he wasn't as bad as the 60 car. Ben Alphen was in everyone's way, and he was in everyone's way almost every lap. It seemed like every 5 laps, him and Leon Davis here would get lapped. Both cars were at least 30 to 40 miles an hour off the pace, but as hard as they tried, they still held up people, while George Treppy led the race. See Alphen again holding up the entire outside line, led by Randy Winston. And you see even Jason Katterberg, who's wounded, got by. And then you see Josh Chin. And then Marin and Treppy would be the two cars who benefited the most, as they would get out in clean air and have... As you see, Brian Wilson just runs up on Ben Alphen, and you see Mitch Kent runs into him through the grass. And then there would be a pit stop by Leon Davis. I think a tire, the loose sheet metal, and then watch this. Davis is getting back up to speed. Jake Pugh, who's leading, goes inside. And then Marin and Treppy split him with Woody Watts. And this would indirectly lead to caution 3 on lap 89, the big one, at Charlotte. You see here, Watts gets around him. And then Mitch Kent, tries to steer low, but just runs into him. And Shane Gardner gets involved. Adgie, Tommy Toe, Mike Sarley, Alexandre Quiros, Wayne Stell, Eddie Lynch, Joe Hance, Rafael Sabara. And you see Wayne Stell here. You see he goes low. He tries going low and then just runs into everyone. And everyone piles in, sending him, Lynch, and Sabara flying. As you see a couple other cars, and let's get a better view of this. You already see the spin up front, and you even see the pace car coming out. That's not a good sign when you're wrecking after the pace car comes out. The 88 car also gets flipped over. And here's Kuros. He goes low, and him and Sarli get clipped. And both, you see more of the carnage, and both would, I think 8 cars would fall out as Pooh, Marin, and Treppy all battle. Then Alton would get in the way again. And you see they go 3 wide with Marin and Kent. But this would leave Welks, Treppy, and Pooh up front, along with Covey Moore. And on the white flag, Treppy led over Jake Pooh. And then Covey Moore gets a run on Phil Wilkes. But coming down into 3, Wilkes gets a better run. Then he's getting a run on the 04. Let's see if he can win 2 in a row. Coming down to the line, Wilkes makes his move. I think it might be a bit late. And George Treppy wins at Charlotte. The Meliello 300. George Treppy wins. Phil Wilkes is in second. Covey Moore got third. Jake Pooh finished fourth. And Dan Marin, in only his third start, gets top 5.